Alison Thewliss.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, for calling me to speak in this important debate on skills and growth. I want to first pay tribute to some of the Maiden speakers who've spoken this afternoon. The member for Birmingham Perry Bar, some of them have left now, but the member for Birmingham Perry Bar, I absolutely associate myself with the comments about ESOL and English and language, because that is also a huge issue in my constituency. And the member for Bradford East was particularly touched by his tribute. He's a huge credit to his family and should be an inspiration to all the young people in Bradford. I also wanted to mention the member for Derby North. She isn't my in-laws MP, unfortunately, but my husband bears the same name as the artist from that town, so I have a soft spot for them. I intend to focus on the need to improve skills, particularly in the area that I represent. My predecessors in this seat, Anas Sarwar, Mohammed Sarwar, Mike Watson and Robert McTaggart, all made reference in their maiden speeches to the need to boost employment in the constituency, so it seems quite appropriate that I make my maiden speech this afternoon. Mr Deputy Speaker, there's been many changes in employment in the Glasgow Central constituency over the years, marked in the main by a decline in heavy industry and a move to a more service-based economy, like many other constituencies described this afternoon. There are particular challenges in this, and I would urge anyone who's not yet heard Scotland's outgoing Chief Medical Officer, Sir Harry Burns, to seek out his thoughts on some of the disproportionate effects deindustrialisation has had in the city of Glasgow and in the health and well-being of the people who live there. His key point is that people must have a sense of control over their lives. A sense of pride in your work is absolutely vital, and this is why building up skills and supporting people to achieve is so important. People who lose their skills can suffer the effects of hopelessness for the rest of their lives. Sir Harry Burns often refers to the late great Jimmy Reid, whose portrait hangs up in the People's Palace in Glasgow Green. In his famous Glasgow University rectoral address, which has been made available by the Scottish Government to students across Scotland, has many passages about alienation and a critique of the rat race. But Mr Deputy Speaker, I ask you to reflect on this particular quote. To appreciate fully the inhumanity of this situation, you have to see the hurt and despair in the eyes of a man suddenly told he's redundant. Without provision made for a suitable alternative employment, and with the prospect in the west of Scotland, if he's in his late 40s and 50s, of spending the rest of his life in the labour exchange, someone, somewhere, has decided he's unwanted, unneeded, and is about to be thrown in the industrial scrap heap. From the very depth of my being, I challenge the right of any man or any group of men in business or government to tell a fellow human being that he or she is expendable. It is in this vein that I implore this government to change track, to move from beating people of all ages with sanctions, to invest instead in creating the circumstances for people to develop their skills, to use their talents and to support them in employment. The Scottish Government has done a great deal in the areas where it does have control. More people than ever are active in Scotland's labour market, and we're taking action to help them into work. Economic inactivity is at its lowest level on record. In the speech I'd written earlier on, I'd said 72.4%, but it's actually 72.5%. It has gone up in the figures today. The female employment rate is the highest in the UK and among the highest in the EU. And due to increases in childcare entitlement, support for women to start their own business, and a raft of support to tackle youth unemployment are all helping women into work, and that should absolutely be commended and reflected down here as well. And youth unemployment figures announced today show that youth unemployment is at the lowest rate in 6 years, and the Scottish Government continue to act to address the long-term effects of unemployment through developing the young workforce, the refreshed youth employment strategy, and strategies and initiatives such as Community Jobs Scotland, Youth Employment Scotland Fund and Opportunities for All. Our Employability Fund in 2013-14 provides £34 million to offer 17,150 pre-employment skills training places to unemployed people of all ages, and achieves 68% of successful job outcomes compared to the UK Government work programme averaging around 20%. In the past year, the Scottish Government's PACE initiative for responding to redundancy situations, such as those that Jimmy Reid spoke of, supported 12,161 individuals at 252 employers over 392 sites in Scotland. The latest research shows that 72% of those surveyed who got support obtains employment within 6 months. The significance of this to workers and their families cannot be downplayed.
Here.
We seek further powers to make work pay, to powers to raise wages and to build the fairer Scotland that we seek. We have a mandate for that, and the people of Scotland have high expectations that it will happen. Mr Deputy Speaker, I'm proud to have been allowed the honour of representing Calton Ward as a councillor in Glasgow over the past 8 years, and I'm sad to leave that role to come here. although pleased with the result. The ward covers the Calton, Richmond, Kilmarnock, Parkhead, Gallowgate, Reid Vale, Saltmarket, Lilybank and Barrowfield communities. Unlike the unfair characterisations of the East End of Glasgow, kinder and more generous people you will not find. I'm glad, therefore, that Glasgow Central constituency encompasses some of those communities. The Calton, one of Glasgow's oldest communities, and one which comes with the distinction of always requiring "the" in the title. It's a community dominated by formidable women, such as the late Betty McAllister, a community activist and Labour stalwart, who famously told a certain Conservative Prime Minister in most unparliamentary language what she could do with her poll tax. Mr Deputy Speaker, I firmly believe that the UK Government has never done enough for communities like the Calton, and I seek to get a better deal for all of those communities. Richmond and Kilmarnock have seen stunning transformations over the past few years, with community-led regeneration through the Clyde Gateway Urban Regeneration Company. This is a partnership between the Scottish Government, Scottish Enterprise, Glasgow and South Lanarkshire councils. Clyde Gateway have learned the lessons of failed past regeneration projects imposed upon people, and are instead working closely with the local community to spearhead the changes in the area and to turn around decades of post-industrial decline. Clyde Gateway have brought much needed investment to the area and supported 700 local people into work, some for the very first time. They've both seized the opportunity by the Commonwealth Games and embedded new good practice, working incredibly hard alongside local people to help them improve their lives. Through innovative use of community benefit clauses and contracts, Glasgow residents have been able to access apprenticeships and many have now moved on to employment. Any member in this House with construction work going on in their own areas should seek to find out whether such a clause can be brought to their own areas, because it is of huge value to local people. Mr Deputy Speaker, it wasn't just, however, the offer of apprenticeships that's important. There are significant numbers of people for whom their skills are not adequate to be considered for an apprenticeship. 46% of people in the Clyde Gateway area do not have formal qualifications, and this is being addressed just now by local community centres, housing associations and other agencies. They're all working hard to make sure that that figure is targeted and that people of all ages get access and the soft skills even that they need to get into workplace. In the area covered by the Clyde Gateway Initiative, the number of people moving into higher education has improved from 11 to 17% in 2008. It still lags far behind the Scottish figure of nearly 40%, so there's a lot still to be done, although things are moving in the right direction. What's important, though, is that Clyde Gateway have a 20-year plan, and that foresight is what's required. There is no quick fix for problems of deindustrialisation and generational unemployment. The UK Government must look at the example of Clyde Gateway and factor meaningful training into their plans, otherwise we're just setting people up to fail. I invite you all to come to Glasgow and see the transformation that's going on and speak to local people like Grace Donald, whose powers of persuasion have seen Scottish Government ministers part with many a bobby. Mr Deputy Speaker, many others have spoken passionately about their constituencies, but there can be few as diverse and as exciting as Glasgow Central. The constituency covers the city centre with the best shopping area outside of London, the International Financial Services District, the vibrant merchant city, and institutions such as Strathclyde and Glasgow Caledonian universities. The world favours Charles Rennie Mackintosh Glasgow School of Art, whose exceptionally talented students have their degree show running just now, and the City of Glasgow and Glasgow Kelvin colleges all come to make Glasgow a very vibrant and creative city, leading in many sectors. Mr Deputy Speaker, there are too many brilliant community organisations in Glasgow Central to mention each by name. I would like to single out the Glasgow Women's Library in their new home in Bridgeton, whose staff and volunteers deserve huge recognition for the work they've done for women from all backgrounds in Glasgow and beyond. I'm very proud to be the first woman MP for Glasgow Central, and I'll donate to their archive a copy of my speech along with my rosette and my yellow election house. Mr Deputy Speaker, the city bears the slogan, "People make Glasgow," and this is absolutely true. The Glasgow Central constituency is diverse in its population, with many churches, mosques, Gurdwara and a synagogue in Garnet Hill. There are people of many faiths and none, with many languages and backgrounds, born and bred and, like me, those who have chosen to make Glasgow their home and raise their family there. The Glasgow Central constituency is dominated by the Great River Clyde, which flows through it and really deserves to be a focal point of our city. North of the Clyde is the city centre, Townhead, Garnet Hill, Dundas Vale, Cowcaddens, Anderson, York Hill, Park Circus and Finniston. South of the Clyde are the communities of Tory-less-glen, where I'm sad to say members opposite are not going to find very many Tories. Hutchison Town, Oatlands, the Gorbals, Lauriston, Govanhill, Strathbungo, Pollocksfields, Dunbrick, Cessnock, Kinning Park and Tradeston. Each of these is a very distinct identity, which is why I mention them all by name. To me, Mr Deputy Speaker, Glasgow is like a series of villages rather than an urban mass. I aim very much to respect and represent each one of them. The constituency contains many wonderful arts and cultural institutions, such as the King's Theatre, the Tron, the Tramway, Kelvin Grove Art Gallery, the People's Palace, the Panopticon, where Stan Laurel played, and of course the very much beloved Barrowland Ballroom. I was very sad to see that one of these institutions, the Arches venue, went into administration last week, and I very much hope that a solution can be found to keep it open. Glasgow Central has modern venues too, like the SSE Hydro Arena, which is a very significant distinction. Our First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, is the only politician to fill the 12,000-seater venue. Mr Deputy Speaker, my election result is no mean achievement, which the honourable members for Harwich and North Essex and Argyll and Bute can surely testify as former constituents for the seat, as former candidates for the seat. And winning in Glasgow Central, I managed to achieve something also which Nicola Sturgeon has not, defeating a Sarwar. In all seriousness though, I would like to say a few words of thanks to my predecessor, Anas Sarwar, who represented Glasgow Central with great enthusiasm from 2010, and to his father Mohammed Sarwar, who became the UK's first Muslim MP when he was elected in 1997 for the Glasgow Government constituency. They worked hard over many years for the communities of Glasgow Central, and I thank them deeply for their endeavours. Mr Deputy Speaker, in finishing, the result in Glasgow Central in the early hours of the 8th of May was nothing short of extraordinary, but it came in the back of decades of discontent in the city. These are communities who became scunnered with the Labour Party, but not with politics. The referendum has changed Scotland, resulting in the most politically engaged and educated population anyone has ever seen. In Glasgow Central, people campaigned to save the Govan Hill Baths, to save their schools, to save the Accord Centre, to keep the Buchanan Street Steps, and to secure a yes vote in the city of Glasgow. The Labour Party slung them all a deefy, and now the people have had their say. I and the SNP will do all we can to honour that trust.
Thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. Can I say what a privilege it is to be called in this debate? Firstly, to welcome you back to the chair, but also to follow the Honourable Lady and her excellent maiden speech. She represents a fascinating area of the country, and she gave a very good explanation of what's been going on there and her role in